So I opened up with a promise that I was going to put another tool in your toolbox, so to speak, that you would maybe have one more method to look at a chart. And I'm talking about the fun part of it is, you know, this does not involve a computer. You can go on to, you can Google free astrology chart. You can have your chart done for free. It will print out in front of you. You can now look at the order in which planets come across your ascendant. And one thing I didn't mention is you might have noticed that some of the planets were widely spaced apart and other planets were really tightly together. Makes no difference. I don't care that nothing kind of came across the horizon for 2 hours and all of a sudden 3 planets came. And then there was another 4 hours, then a bunch of other planets came. No, we're just looking at it flatly. We don't care that there's big gaps of space between the planets. We're just looking at the numerical order in which they came. And that, don't you love simplicity? I certainly can appreciate it. So you have this tool now to look at your chart. You can look at anyone's chart. This is never going to, it's always going to make sense. And you'll always have the knowledge to know when you're approaching someone who has a birthday, you know, that ends in 9, they're getting ready to shift into a new decade, and things will shift. And you should certainly expect it. And certainly, if you're married to someone or you're in a business relationship with someone, you must look forward to that. So I want to, before we run out, I want to say a couple more things here, and then we're going to open it up for some questions, or particularly, I'm going to, first of all, give the people whose charts were up there, if they wanted to make any comment, because we'd all like to hear how they've lived out these energies. So before we wrap it up, I want to kind of go back, and does anyone, the 3 that we looked at, the 3 charts, did anyone have anything that they wanted to share about? I know, Susan? Susan, there you are. Did you care to make any comment or anything that you think could collectively benefit from?
Sure. I was the moon decade, and we're going to talk about me going back to my home where I grew up in North Dakota, and going through the attics and the attic and boxes, and just going through a lot of family collectibles and learning about them, as well as what are we going to save, what are we going to throw, and just realizing that that whole part of my life, I don't go back there for Christmases anymore now. I don't go back in the summertime. It's not a home like that to me anymore. It was almost like I had to sever it. It was like a death for me. And I remember driving out of the, away from the farm, and driving out of the road, and it was extremely emotional. For me and all of us, and I'm the youngest of 9, and so it was a pretty powerful experience for all of us. And many of my siblings are married, and I'm single, so it was had a whole different effect for me. And as far as focus on family, at the beginning of my 40s, my dad passed away. So I was 40 years old when my dad passed, and then at 45 is when we packed up the homestead and everything. So. Yeah, there were a lot of sentimental, a lot of family focus during that time. And lineage, as a matter of fact, this summer I'm going to where my ancestors are from Ireland and Holland. So that ties in as well. And friendships, emotional milestones, I think of the friends that I've made throughout my 40s so far, and how I've learned more about myself in relation to them.
Deborah, do you have anything that you can throw at me? She had the Uranus decade.
I know, and I came in late, so show me mine.
Oh, okay, okay.
I'm out rowing.
Rowing like in a boat?
Yes, I'm on a dragon boat racing team.
Okay, that's, when did you start that, Deborah?
Last year.
Last year, okay. So here was Deborah's chart, and she was, at 50, she moved into a Uranus decade. 50, 59, and we talked about breaking the mold, doing things that other people would be shocked to find out that you were doing. You might have craved independence at that point.
I did,
you broke rules, and so I said, people would have said to you at 50, you're doing what?
Right.
They would have seen you as moving in a direction not predicted.
Right, so to build on that, then when I was in my 50s, I went through my last and third and final divorce. So, and I'm now still happily single, and that's really liberating for me to always be taken care of. I'm taking care of myself now, and my children. I was still working as a personal chef. I ran my own business, but picked up another full-time job working as a manager for Sur La Table. So I was working with people and managing people, but still in the environment of food, which I love. let's continue to teach and work as a chef in the arts and food. And then I also picked up a job teaching homeless children here, the teenagers, at the homeless center on the boulevard, which I continue to do. So I think that the best way to sum it up for those of us who know me and our friend Susie Jones, when I had to, I never really worked a lot, I just kind of played at working. And one day I was having coffee with my good friends Susie and Nancy and Karen, and it was Nancy who said, hey, Tinkerbell, it's time to get a real job. So when that final divorce and I got my big fat settlement, then I had to work. And so it was really, it was a liberating time for me. And I'm still in it. I'm still in it. So it's very exciting.
And you know, many of us don't think of it, working is very self-validating, and it does give you a new identity, it reinvents yourself.
Right.
But I really like the contrast here that I'm hearing about teaching homeless children about food,
Right.
and working at a high-end store,
Right.
catering to the wealthy, right, for food.
And still teaching them. Yes, this is why you
So
need a
that's quite a
shiva.
juxtaposition.
Oh no, you can't do the Middle Eastern food in that vessel. You need a tagine. And so I was able to still dabble and play in my my Deborah-ness from Palo Alto, but still I love working with the homeless teens.
And would you confirm, because maybe you missed this, I said 20 to 29, you must have had a great decade. It was a Venus decade, a lot of love.
Oh my God, yes, oh my God, yes, I was going to college, living in a commune, I was having a great time.
Yeah.
Great time, traveling, hitchhiked across the country, took the train across Canada,
Okay. So it's a great decade, a Venus decade. If you have it in your future, we're envious. If you have it in your past, we know you've got some great memories, right? Right. And so we have our last one, Richard. Did you have any comment about your Mars decade that you've been dealing with?
Well, I was sitting here laughing
Oh.
because it was so right on. I can't remember. Oh,
Here we go. Okay, yeah, here was the things I said, yeah.
take a stand against authority. It's like I've just been in this thing with my neighbors who I live in the Huntridge, and the street is 25 feet wide, and my house faces the street, which is my desk and my bedroom. And they decided to turn their front yard into a playground, so there are like 30 or 40 people up there. And after I've been running all day, I don't want to see 30 kids in front of my house. So this is so right now, because anything to show leadership among peers. I'm doing the Olive classes at UNLV, which is for seniors, and amazing program. And one of the things that I take there's feng shui astrology and like that, which I've done astrology for like 50 years, but this is just like getting me back into that. Today I've just been to the opening of the center, which is the community center with an outreach to gay and lesbian youth. And all the politicos were there, Carolyn Goodman and Christy and Dina Titus and all, and they've all been friends of mine that I've supported them through the years.
So actually that's a good, align with power. Mars energy, oftentimes you align with power as well, same as a Pluto energy.
Right, so and then I went to a book signing with a friend of mine who wrote a book, and they were having a thing at the Flamingo Library today. And then I'm trying to get active.
But you hear it. I mean, I'm not trying to push your age, but you see what decade he's in. And that's a very active stage. So whenever your Mars hits, it throws you out there. And again, I just said off the top of my head, probably fighting with the neighbors. That's a classic thing that would happen. You know, because generally seniors are generally at home war. They're at home war. So what would probably be happening? Well, who's they going to be fighting with? Probably the neighbors. I mean, you know, it could be somebody else. But generally there's a standoff that goes on at that point. And I do want you to move Old West and pulling your guns out and saying, you know, threatening
That's
people
what
on
I did.
some
I
level.
contacted all the politicians, the police department, all that stuff. So
You called on the Mars professions.
Yeah.
You called the Mars professions, the police officers, the firemen, all these types of safe fire codes. You could be calling on people,
right.
things like that, looking for your edge in. Well, there we go. And thank you for that feedback. That was totally, everyone did a fabulous job. So with that, we're going to wrap up. Now, I know, I'm sorry, I think you came in late. I thought I wasn't going to take any questions until the end, but I know you've had your hand up a couple of times, so can I answer a question?
When you touched on Bill Clinton,
Yes.
do you see him and Hillary coming back in for the 2016?
Well, I didn't look at it from that perspective, but I almost said this, but I, again, don't want to, because it's such a hot topic, isn't it? But did you see that he's moving into his Saturn decade? He's in his Saturn decade. Saturn, what did I say? They excel at organization, doing things, organizing things, working long hours. What does it take? Saturn energy is not, I'm going to sit at home. And I couldn't help but think, oh my gosh, he's going to be putting this campaign together. He's probably already put it together, let's face it. He's probably working the building blocks, Saturn. And again, I didn't look at Hillary's chart, so I can't comment on what, but I don't know, I don't have a chart in front of me to see which decade. But that's a great thing. If you're interested, now you know. Pull up, go online, get Hillary's birth chart, and count off the planets and see which decade is she moving into. Because that would give a good sign about what kind of campaign, if she's going to. And, again, what's interesting is, because you mean, what am I looking for? Of course, if it was with Jupiter, that'd be fabulous, wouldn't it? But it could be a moon, even be a moon, maybe country, loyalty. She could be playing it out that way. Uranus, maybe she's going into a Uranus energy, and she's going to be the first female, right, to lead. So again, Pluto, she might want to get in there and fight dirty, fight deep, right? So again, interesting, just from limited information, I couldn't say it, but I thought it was very interesting to see that Bill Clinton is very much plugged in to organization structure. Anyhow, this has been great. We're going to wrap it up. I just want to assure you that the recordings will be showing up on the website. Give us a month, probably, and they'll probably be up there if you are interested. And consider coming back. I think it was May 4th. May 4th, we're coming back here and doing one more aspect there on solar eclipses. Anyhow, I've really enjoyed it, and I hope you have too.